here are the 4 things that I hear people tell me prevent them from getting into gardening. Number 1, they say, I don't have time. Number 2, they say, I don't have space. Number 3, they say they don't have a green thumb. And number 4, I hear it's too expensive. Let's break down each individual one of those 4 things and talk about those just briefly, really quickly. Number 1, I don't have time. Imagine, if you will, the garden that you want. The garden, the perfect garden, everything looks amazing. It's laid out exactly how you want it. It's as big as you want it. It looks the way that you want it. You don't have time. Let's talk about that. In order for you to not have time to garden, you have to already know what the garden is going to look like. You have to know what you're growing. You have to know exactly what its purpose is before you can say that you don't have time. You say, I don't have time. And I say, well, how much time do you think that gardening needs? For you to be able to answer that question, you already have to have a garden, in your imagination of what you think your garden is going to look like and how much time it's going to take to tend to that garden. So before you say, I don't have time, pause and actually reasonably think about what kind of garden do you actually want to grow? What does it look like? And then we can start talking about how much time it takes to tend to that garden. So before we talk about time, figure out what kind of garden in your mind you're imagining. Second thing I hear, I don't have this space. Well, refer back to 1. If you don't have space, that also assumes that you already are imagining in your mind the kind of garden that you want to grow and the space that it requires. Is that true? Do you actually know how much space your garden requires? If you haven't considered what kind of garden you want to grow, well, then how could you say that you don't have the space for it? How much space do you really need per vegetable, which fruit, which berry are you going to grow? You have to know these things, or at least start to think about them before you can say, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the space. Well, have you even considered what you want to grow? The third thing is, I don't have a green thumb. I think this one is the most amazing to me because I don't have a green thumb. Nobody has a green thumb. We're all humans. Some of us may have an aptitude toward growing, more quickly catching on than others do. But at the end of the day, none of us have a green thumb. Consider this. Do you cause your grass outside your house or your apartment to grow? Are you responsible for the trees growing in your neighborhood or out back or along the side of the road? Are you responsible for growing the bushes in front of your house or the landscaping that you see as you're driving around? What about the weeds? Do you plant the weeds or do they just naturally come up? See, the thing is, we don't need to have a green thumb because nature will already grow things. It already will do what it's supposed to do, which is foster the environments for things to grow. You don't have to have a green thumb. And lastly, the most important thing that I think people say, they say it is too expensive to garden. Again, a friend of mine just recently asked me, they said, Caleb, how expensive is it to garden? And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, bro, it's literally as expensive as you want it to be. Okay, and I mean that. That's true. It's as expensive as you want it to be. If you want to spend, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 making your garden look immaculate with this amazing design, raised beds, trellises, beautiful, flowing waters, irrigation systems, you can do that. You can do that, but don't think because your neighbor spent thousands of dollars making this garden look a particular way that you somehow have to do that to have a successful garden. You don't. You can legitimately buy vegetables and fruits from the grocery store. Crazy idea, isn't it? You can buy stuff from the grocery store, and those things that you buy have seeds in them. You can take those seeds and you can put those seeds in dirt with water and sunlight, and they'll grow. I've grown things in coffee pots. I've grown things in Dixie cups. I've grown things. My first garden, when I first started, I grew a garden of tomatoes and cucumbers in a blue kid swimming pool that had a crack in the bottom. So you can grow things as expensively or cheaply as you would like. It all comes back to the same thing at the very beginning. What is the garden that you imagine you want to have? What do you have in your mind? So before you say, Caleb, I can't grow, I don't have a green thumb, I don't have the money to do it, I don't have the time, I don't have the space. Well, let's take a step back and first say, what kind of garden do you think that you're going to be growing, or do you want to grow? What does it look like? What kind of things are in it? First, consider those things and then come back and tell me that you don't have the 4 things that we talked about. But until you think about what it is that you want for your garden, do you want to eat the things from it? Do you want your neighbors to say, wow, look at those beautiful flowers? What exactly is it that you're looking to do? And once you decide on what it is that you want to do, I promise you that you can do the gardening a lot cheaper, a lot less space, a lot less time than you actually think that you need on all of those aspects. So hopefully this is helpful, and I want to be posting more videos like this to kind of encourage folks to get started. It's gardening is fun. It's awesome. You can feed yourself, reduce your grocery bill, encourage your neighbors to participate, become a part of the community in ways that you're not already, become a better involved in your family, your immediate family, your extended family, just kind of showing and becoming an encouragement and inspiration to others. So lots of amazing benefits. And it just first takes getting out of that mind of like, I can't do these things, or these are the roadblocks preventing me from getting started. You can, and I believe in you. I did it, you can too.